All right, this is long overdue, but not so much because it just got released. And you know how much we like Engwe bikes. So this is the new Engwe M20.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
I'm one of the first ones in the country to have it. I think there's somebody that's overseas that's got one, and I'm very excited to get this one out. Again, Engwe has been one of the best brands that we've had in that folding bike, and now they've went into a different model altogether. This one still has that 750 watt motor. It is 48 volt, 13 amp hour with it's a removable battery. But if you see in the back of the car there, guess what? Another battery. This is a dual battery setup. Front and rear hydraulic brakes, 20x4 terrain tires, you know, the kind of the fat tires, but they're not the big 26s. This isn't a, you know, a cruiser. And it has a dual front light. Max speed's 24 miles an hour. The range, depending on your riding styles, you know how I do. I don't pedal, so I don't get much for range, but 7-speed transmission or you know, gear set. I'm gonna get this thing out. Let's assemble it. So most of these boxes or unboxings are pretty standard. You're going to see some things that are already a little bit different. We see a crossbar here. We see a large seat for my large butt. You know, being a little bit heavier, probably traditional for some of the American riders. They're going to something a little bigger there. And we've got, it looks like about 3 boxes in here. So not sure what's all involved there. Some of it might just be buffering for the bike, but it does look like so far that it got here in one piece for the most part, or pieces. There, 2 down tubes there. God, this is going to be cool. All right, just checking in with you. This is what it looks like so far. Very nice design. I love the fact that we have a full suspension. You can see it's kind of like a moped mini bike looking design. Just because it looks like a mini bike doesn't mean it sits as low as a mini bike. If anything, these bikes have a tendency to be a little bit taller in the seat than a traditional bike would. We've got a lot of things still put together here. You can see that there's a battery here mounted. Well, guess what? There's another battery here. Heidi's letting me know that this color is green. Obviously, I can't tell because I'm colorblind, but it does look nice. It looks better than black, that's for sure. And this is the other battery. If you look here, there's already a mounting plate for that other battery. They give you 3 screws with it and another set of keys. And what you're going to do is you're going to mount this battery using the holes that are located here to mount this like it's a top tank, you know, so it looks kind of like a top tank bike, or like an old mini bike, like I said before, a motorcycle. At that point, you're going to use this piece that they also gave you, which says right on it, dual battery equalizer. Don't be afraid of this stuff. There's nothing crazy about this. There's nothing weird about it. This is very simple. You can run on just one battery if you want, the way that it comes. As far as I know, I don't see anything that tells me differently. But what you're going to do is unplug that battery where it goes into the frame, which will probably be in this area somewhere here or up in here. I'll have to hunt it down. Maybe it's underneath the seat even. And then at that point, you'll plug the battery from here and the new battery into one of these 2 connectors. And then you will plug that single connector into the bike. So at that point, you have the ability for both batteries to be drained or discharged as you're riding. Okay, this thing's coming together pretty darn well, but the one thing that I need to point out to you is actually a couple of things. First of all, the lights on here, they do not utilize these big rubber pieces that look like that they're like bushings or something. These are bump stops for when you turn the steering too tight. It bumps up against the frame. I haven't plugged them in yet, but these lights look really nice. Other than that, we're going to move towards the battery and adding the extra battery. Again, if you don't want the extra battery, this is what it'd look like then. You just have a case that goes up on top here, kind of finishes off this cross tube. But to add this extra battery in as a viable piece, it's nothing more than a deep well ratchet and extension that you'll need, 10mm socket, or 10mm socket, and it'll just remove the 4 bolts that hold this seat on. They're very easy to get to with that ratchet. Okay, that was kind of a pain in the butt, just because these studs, you have to get it just right for it to come off. And you know what, now that I look at this, you know, this seat could be mounted 2 different ways. See how there's kind of a ramp to it in the back? I don't know if you can see that, but on the left side of the camera, the seat is thicker. Now it could go with that thick side to the right. No, it don't look right on there. It's ramped up too high. So it definitely goes this way to make it level. It's kind of different. So this is where the magic happens. There's the horn. It's just thrown in there. You could take the horn out if you wanted it to be more bold. Put it outside here somewhere. You see? The horn could be mounted out here somewhere if you want. But what we're looking for is this connection right here. And the only reason I know is because that little box, this box here, kind of has the same cable size to it, don't it? You can kind of tell, right? See how thick that cable is? It's pretty thick. It's the thickest 2 wires that come into this area. And I mean by thickness, you know, just what it sounds like. They're big. So the 2 biggest wires are connected together here, and you can see they just have 2 little plugs then. You see what it looks like where you plug it? Yeah, see? Same deal. It's a little cross action. So 1 wire goes in one way, 1 goes the other. So not a big mystery here how this is going to go together, but these 2 wires will go into here, and then this 1 wire will go into one of these, and the wire coming from the battery, the auxiliary battery, like that, it'll go into the other side of this. So let me show you what that looks like. And then this box, we'll just lay it in here somewhere. Now it does have a little bit of a heat sink to it, so make sure that, you know, it's maybe not pushed right up against this thing. Possibly we could move this around even if we wanted to. They got it turned in here sideways so it doesn't move around. With this in there, that's going to make it that much more harder for that to happen. And again, this being the controller, you want that to have good air circulation all the way around it too. Okay, it's getting a little bit darker here because the shadow's actually coming across, and it's cooling off quite a bit. I've been playing around with this as far as the adjustment and where everything should go. And there are these 3 holes, the closest to the handlebars, are going to be utilized, not this one. And there's 3 slots, 1, 2, 3. Basically, from what I can tell, you're going to put the screws through these 3 slots, and they're going to be at the bottom of these slots. If we consider that the bottom, the screws are going to be at the bottom of these 3 slots.
The Engwe M20, pretty cool bike.
It's all together, and the only thing I know I need to do for sure is adjust the battery and push it up even further if I can. Thing is, I got to sit back in the seat a little bit, just for, let's see how we can say it, room. Let's just say room. It's just a little bit too close between here and here for me, but it's not uncomfortable if I just scoot back just a little bit. Because that suspension in the back is a single shock, there is some side-to-side movement with these tires. You know, since they're so cold today, it's only probably 37 degrees right now. And the tires, I didn't even inflate them all the way. So the movement of the tire, just some misformation, will work its way out after you drive it for a while and everything's warm. But the headlights are awesome. Wait till I show you some of these features. The tail light is awesome. So this is the first bike that I'd feel comfortable not having to buy auxiliary lights necessarily. Heidi will go up there and pull the brake and show you what that's like. Lights can be run just in daylight running mode, which I'll show you here in a second, but here's the brake light. Very bright. I mean, I don't know how much that's coming on camera, but we are daylight here. So if I am to push this button here, that turns off the headlights and the tail light. So let's show you what it looks like back here. So you can see there's no tail light. This would be maybe for daytime running. I like having lights on, but look at the daylight running lights on there. Daytime running lights, I should say. And I do still have plastic on here. I haven't even taken it off yet, but just these two strips here, that's what's on. Now, you may be asking, and Heidi will show you again, you still have a brake light. See? Cool, huh? But if you want your headlights on, then you do this and push this button. Now, if you want to turn your lights off altogether, don't really recommend it. You just push and hold this button for a couple seconds. Now, the display does get brighter when you do that. I may change the display. I still got the plastic on there. I just didn't want to scratch it. You could see the battery level on here. I don't know how accurate that's going to be because we actually have two batteries that are powering this. There are switches for each battery. Do you have to have both batteries on? No, you do not. You can run with just one battery. Again, the measurement on that battery, I don't know where that's coming from, because if you check on this one when it's on, which I'll turn it back on, if you push it, it says it's 3/5 full, or I'm sorry, 4/5 full. If you check this one and it's on, it says it is full entirely. So the battery gauge up here, I'm not sure how that's reading. And it may be a problem with both batteries being connected through that equalizer that's inside there that we installed underneath the seat. The batteries, as far as mounting, as far as you putting them or installing them on the bike, they're the same length. They go on the same type of tray. They're the same hookup. They do use different keys. Disadvantage, advantage, I don't know really there. I guess one key would have been nice, but no big deal. It can interchange. You can put this battery down there, this battery up here, but you don't have to with that little module. Now, you're going to have a bunch of questions, I'm sure, and I don't know is the answer to that. So you want to contact the company for this, and that is when you plug in the charger. Am I charging just one battery, or I'm charging both? As far as I can tell, you're charging one battery only with one charger. It comes with one charger. Now, it's only a 2-amp charger, so you can expect if you're trying to charge up both your batteries, you're going to go a ways. You can always buy an extra charger. They also make different chargers that will charge a little faster if you want to do that. I'm assuming, which there's no reason to think not, you can run both battery chargers on each individual battery at the same time. They're not powering or trying to power anything. As long as the batteries are turned off, you can hook up whatever you want as long as the batteries can handle it. The design is really nice. The suspension, smoothest bike, one of the smoothest by far, and it should. It's heavy. It's got big tires. It's got full suspension front and rear. It's got one of the biggest cushioning seats that there are, and you can move forward and back on the seat to feel comfort as you need. So if your legs are feeling a little bit cramped up, just slide back on the seat a little bit more. One of the best looking bikes that I've had. I cannot believe that this is a release that they've made. I didn't think that this is something that would actually come to fruition. I started talking with Engwe back, I think it was almost in December, I believe, whenever we first talked about this. It may even been November, and they were mentioning this bike, and I was excited about it, but I just didn't know if it was ever going to come around. And yeah, it did. This whole time, hopefully, as I've been talking to you, you've seen pop-ups come up. The links are in the video description below. Please use those links, and that will get you to this specific model, this bike, and it lets them know that you saw my video, and this is something that I kind of directed you towards. Now, once you get there, you don't have to buy it. It's nothing like that. But if you could use the link just to go there, and in case you do buy it, I appreciate it. By far, it's one of those things that you could do to help support the channel, and it doesn't cost you anything. So Heidi said she's going to brave the weather. She said, thank God the wind's kicking up right before she takes it out. But she wants to try this out. We're going to go ahead and get some looks on this as she goes by us, and then get her opinion on it, because, you know, me being a taller, heavier rider, we're going to see what she thinks. Now, I can already tell you, I think as far as height, is that a little bit too tall for you?
It's going to be a little too tall. Yes, I mean, you can tell.
Yeah, it might be a little bit too tall, but I'm sure she could make it work. Oh, and also, just to let you know, horn, yeah, it's underneath the seat. Regular 7-speed, but look at this. This is a full twist throttle. That's not a 3/4, a little finger thing, nothing. That's a regular throttle. So we'll let Heidi take this for a ride and see what she thinks. Okay, so how bad is this as far as height?
Not at all. I just tilted it over just a little bit. I'm 5'4". Was no problem.
Good. Yeah, the rear tire definitely needs inflated. I can tell it's down. But this thing's kind of like a moped, tell you the truth. And it hauls butt. It's not one of the fastest ones we had, but just with me on it, just using the throttle only, obviously, that's the way I ride, got it up to 24 miles an hour right away, and I haven't changed any settings on it whatsoever. Yeah, I don't have it pointed too high up. I kind of have one pointed down, but I can definitely see the headlights on. I wonder what these things look like at night. She's booking along here. So with the sun in our face, we'll see how this works out. Uh-oh. Heidi has a new favorite bike.
Even though I'm on tippy toes, this is a really comfortable ride.
I told you.
I got to go on 25.
Yeah. I got it going 24 and a longer distance just on throttle.
Yeah, I wasn't real, I was scared about the whole, but that's no big deal.
Yeah.
Because I thought I would be...
Whiskey throttle is what they call it.
Yeah, I thought I would be...
twisting it when you don't want to.
But I wasn't, because if you could just have your hand here.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think it's
it's a cool bike.
Right. So, again, links are down below, and we'll let Heidi close this one out.
As always, we hope to see you out here somewhere.
Bye.
Bye.